Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Violence which left 4 police officers and 6 horses injured during protests in central London last night has been described by the head of Scotland Yard as despicable. Sir Bernard Hogan-Howe was speaking after the anti-capitalist Million Mask March, which saw scuffles with police near Buckingham Palace and also Trafalgar Square. Here's our Home Affairs correspondent Nick Beake, who followed the protest well into the night.
The first clashes came in Parliament Square as police tried to hold the line. Protesters weren't allowed to spill out beyond the boundaries which had been set, but soon they dispersed and pockets of violence broke out. This unattended police car was torched and there were scuffles in other hotspots. Nearly 2,000 officers were needed to contain the protest.
I'm worried about the level of violence my officers faced. There were people throwing fireworks and thunder flashes. We know that our horses were attacked and got injured, our officers got attacked and injured, and of course we had a police car set on fire. Overall, I think we're in control. We made 50 arrests, but that's a worrying level of people who are getting involved in a violent situation.
Some protesters felt the response was heavy-handed.
This is meant to be a non-violent protest, and the police have turned up with horses, meat wagons, helicopters and everything.
And what do you think of the people protesting who are being violent towards the police? What do you think of them?
They shouldn't really be here, to be honest with you.
The protest was billed as anti-government cuts and anti-capitalist. Here, the driver of an Aston Martin was confronted. A photographer left lying in the road. Hundreds made their way to Buckingham Palace. Police formed a ring of steel. And again, more angry scenes.
I've done nothing to you. I've done nothing to you. What does that mean exactly?
At 9 o'clock, protesters were told their time was up. They had to move on.
Well, it's about 9:30 now, and you can see what the police are doing. They're sealing off all the potential avenues that marchers could go down. So take a look at this. You've got a very long line of officers, in fact 2 columns or so, blocking the Mall. They've pushed people from Buckingham Palace all the way up here. You've got people sealing off Green Park, a few fireworks going off there, and they want people to clear the area. They're saying that it's gone 9 o'clock, people need to shift out or they'll be arrested.
Most of the arrests came later in Trafalgar Square, people refusing to leave. Then around 200 protesters were contained. The police say they'll be arresting more people in the coming days as they look through the evidence they gathered. Nick Beake, BBC London News.
So last night's protest was promoted by Anonymous, an international movement of anti-capitalist activists. They chose Bonfire Night to commemorate the date when Guy Fawkes attempted to blow up the Houses of Parliament over 400 years ago. Well, Alex Bushell has more about the group and what they stand for.
Well, they've been known as Lulzsec, the Lulzy Collective, and of course Anonymous. But who exactly are the many faces behind the Guido Fawkes masks? Well, they first emerged in 2008 following an attack on the Church of Scientology. In 2011, they hacked into the Sony website and took down the PlayStation network, leaving this error page. It was at an estimated cost of over $100 million. More recently, Anonymous have named those they believe to be Ku Klux Klan sympathizers, and they've even targeted ISIS in Syria and Iraq, sabotaging their Twitter feed and announcing their operation with a video on YouTube. So how did a tiny group of hardened hackers grow into a global political force? Last night was dubbed a Million Mask March. Never mind, only a couple of thousand came out in London in an event promoted by Anonymous in cities across the world. They did, however, make themselves heard. But what exactly were they saying?
What are you protesting about?
What am I protesting about? It's how do you express anger?
They're kids thinking it's fun to wear an Anonymous mask and cause trouble. They're not here to support something.
New World Order is here to take over, and this is not a revolution.
You're a bit disappointed?
Very disappointed.
What were you expecting?
A revolution.
But I think the weather's put everyone off, to be honest.
Not clear? Well, speak to one of the leading academics on hacktivism and he'll tell you there is a subtle single thread that runs through all they do.
There is a thread in the sense of ideas, of a commitment to information that is securely available and usable by all of us. There's not a thread in terms of organisation. The other aspect is that a number of Anonymous's kind of symbols, for example, the V for Vendetta mask, have been more widely adopted. So you can no longer tell that someone really is involved with Anonymous politics simply by the fact that they take a V for Vendetta mask.
For those they've championed, there is loyalty too. Gary McKinnon isn't a member of Anonymous, but he is a hacker who hacked into US military computers. He has Asperger's and his mother fought a high-profile campaign to stop him being extradited to the States. She won, and on the way, Anonymous helped.
They were very worried about Gary because he had Asperger's, and they actually brought down the Home Office website, which resulted in BBC interviews, which brought attention, even bigger attention, to Gary's plight.
She doesn't condone the violence of last night, but understands one of their most powerful tools is the symbolism, the mask, the threat of disorder. And it seems to work. Last night, the police feared 4 times the number of activists would turn out than actually did. They are then a movement that can capture the imagination as well as domain names.
Alex Bushell there.